In part 2, we showed you Canal, Istanbul, the 500-year dream. Suleiman envisioned it. Erdogan is building it. Economic independence through infrastructure, breaking the Montreux chains. But how did it get this bad? How did Turkey end up economically trapped for 500 years? Let's see how. The economic siege didn't start yesterday. It didn't start with the IMF. It didn't even start with the Ottoman debt crisis. It started 500 years ago, with stolen gold from the Americas. And it never stopped. The 500-year economic siege. Columbus reaches the Americas. What follows? The greatest theft in human history. Spain conquers the Aztec Empire, the Inca Empire, indigenous civilizations across 2 continents, and loots everything. Gold, silver, precious metals, tons of it, literally tons. Between 1500 and 1650, Spain extracts 180 tons of gold from the Americas. 16,000 tons of silver. This isn't trade, this is plunder. Millions of indigenous people die, worked to death in mines, killed in conquest, destroyed by disease. Their wealth flows to Spain. Spain becomes the richest empire in Europe overnight. But here's what they don't teach you in school. Spain didn't just get rich. Spain used that wealth as a weapon against the Ottoman Empire. How? Economics 101. If you flood a market with gold, gold becomes less valuable. Prices go up, inflation. Spain floods European markets with American gold and silver. European prices rise. But the effect on the Ottoman Empire? Devastating. The Ottoman economy was based on silver currency, the akçe, stable for decades. Then Spanish silver floods the markets. Ottoman silver-based currency collapses. Massive inflation across the Ottoman Empire. 1500s. Prices skyrocket. Wages can't keep up. Economic chaos. Ottoman government tries to respond. Debase the currency. Mint more coins. Makes it worse. Hyperinflation. This wasn't an accident. Spain and Europe understood. We can't beat the Ottomans militarily yet, but we can destroy their economy, and they did. First economic weapon, flood the market with stolen wealth. The Ottoman Empire never fully recovered from this, while Spain got rich off genocide and theft, and used that wealth to wage economic warfare. This is where it starts, 500 years ago, with gold stolen from indigenous peoples, used to destroy the Ottoman economy. The first attack, but not the last. Fast forward to 1875. The Ottoman Empire is in trouble. Centuries of wars, modernization attempts, infrastructure projects, all expensive. Ottoman treasury, empty. Solution? Borrow from European banks. Britain, France, Germany, Italy. They're happy to lend at high interest. Ottoman Empire takes the loans, needs the money, can't pay the debt, defaults. European response? Not forgiveness, control. Ottoman Public Debt Administration created. Who runs it? Not Ottomans. British, French, German, Italian, Austrian, Dutch, Europeans. What do they control? Ottoman customs revenues. Ottoman salt, huge revenue source. Ottoman tobacco. Ottoman silk production, major tax collection. Essentially, the Ottoman government's income. Here's how it works. Ottomans collect taxes and revenues, hand it over to the European-controlled debt administration. Europeans take what they're owed for debt payments. Ottomans get what's left, which is not much. This isn't lending. This is colonization through debt. The Ottoman Empire still exists on the map, still has a sultan, still has a government, but Europeans control the money. Economic sovereignty? Gone. And here's the sick genius. The debt never really decreases. Interest keeps accumulating. Europeans charge high rates. Structure the payments so the debt remains. Why? Because the debt isn't about getting paid back. The debt is about control. Permanent control. The Ottoman Empire becomes a debt colony, not formally colonized like India or Africa, but economically colonized through debt. This lasts from 1875 to 1923, 48 years, 2 full generations. Ottoman finances controlled by Europeans, until the Ottoman Empire collapses completely. and Turkey emerges from the ashes. Treaty of Lausanne, 1923. Turkey finally free of the Ottoman debt. Ataturk refuses to inherit it. That was the Ottoman Empire's debt, not Turkey's. Europeans furious, but can't force it. Turkey gets clean slate. But 48 years of economic control damaged everything. Ottoman industrialization, delayed. Ottoman infrastructure, underdeveloped. Ottoman military, dependent on European weapons, all because of debt. While the Ottomans are drowning in debt, let's talk about the Suez Canal. 1854-1869, Suez Canal construction. In Egypt. Egypt is technically Ottoman territory, autonomous, but Ottoman. Who builds the canal? French company. Compagnie Universelle du Canal Maritime de Suez, led by Ferdinand de Lesseps, French engineer. French company. Who pays for it? Egypt. How? Forced labor. Egyptian peasants conscripted to dig. Tens of thousands die, heat, disease, exhaustion, and the Egyptian government borrows massive amounts from European banks to fund construction, to pay the French company. Egypt goes into debt, deep debt. The canal opens, connects Mediterranean Sea to Red Sea, cuts shipping time to Asia by months, changes global trade forever. Incredible achievement. Who profits from it? France and Britain. They control the canal company. They charge tolls to ships passing through. Massive revenue. Egypt gets debt. Mountains of debt from building the canal that France and Britain now control. Same year the Ottoman Empire defaults. Egypt also defaults. Can't pay the loans from building Suez. British response? Buy Egypt's shares in the canal company. Egypt is desperate for cash. Sells its shares cheap. Britain now controls the Suez Canal. Britain doesn't stop there. Britain invades and occupies Egypt. Official reason, to protect our investment. Real reason, take full control of Suez. Egypt built the canal. Egypt paid for the canal. Egyptian people died building the canal. Britain took it through debt. Think about that. Force a country to borrow money for infrastructure. Control the infrastructure through debt. When they can't pay, take it completely. Suez remains under British control until 1956, 74 years. When Nasser finally nationalizes it, takes it back for Egypt. Britain and France try to invade, Suez crisis. Fail. Egypt keeps it. But 74 years of theft, through debt. Now here's the connection. The Ottoman Empire watched this happen in their own territory. Ottomans couldn't stop it. Why? Because Ottomans were also drowning in European debt. Same banks, same playbook. Now here's the pattern nobody talks about. Who were the Ottoman Empire's main creditors? Britain, France, Germany, 1875 to 1914. They control Ottoman finances through debt. Ottoman Empire, the debtor. European powers, the creditors. What happened next? 1914, 1918, World War I. Ottoman Empire sides with Germany, loses the war. Treaty of Sèvres. Ottoman Empire partition, carved up by the victors. Ottoman Empire officially dissolved, gone. The creditors? Britain becomes the superpower, 1919-1945, largest empire in history. France, major European power, 1919-1940, colonial empire across Africa and Asia. Germany loses World War I, but becomes industrial powerhouse after Reconstruction, economic engine of Europe. The debtor? Ottoman Empire, destroyed, erased from the map. Coincidence or pattern? Let's test it. Who is the world's largest debtor nation? United States of America. 34 trillion in national debt. Largest debt in human history. Who holds the most U.S. debt? China. Over $1 trillion in U.S. Treasury bonds. Japan holds some. European countries hold some. But China is the largest foreign holder. Now apply the Ottoman pattern. 1875-1923. Ottoman Empire owes money to Britain and France. 1923, Ottoman Empire collapses. 1945, Britain and France are superpowers. 2024, USA owes China 20xx. The pattern suggests debtors decline, creditors rise. Look at the United States today. Infrastructure is crumbling, bridges collapsing, roads full of potholes. Manufacturing is hollowed out, factories closed, jobs shipped to China. Political system is dysfunctional, gridlocked, polarized. Dollar dominance challenged. BRICS nations trading in their own currencies. Oil deals in yuan. Social fabric is fragmenting by design, inequality, division. Meanwhile, China is building Belt and Road Initiative across 150-plus countries. High-speed rail, ports, roads. It's the manufacturing superpower. Makes everything. Dominates supply chains. Politically unified direction. Authoritarian, but unified. Currency is internationalizing. Yuan in oil trades. BRICS currency discussions. Economic growth, sustained, even if slowing, still growing. The same pattern. 150 years later, Ottoman Empire owed Europe. Ottoman Empire collapsed. European creditors became superpowers. USA owes China. USA is declining. Chinese creditors rising to superpower. Debt isn't just money. Debt is power transfer. Debt is control. Debt is the slow-motion collapse of empires. And Turkey? Turkey watched the Ottoman Empire collapse from debt. Turkey learned. Erdogan pays off the IMF completely. No more IMF loans. No more debt to international institutions. Turkey builds with its own money now. Takes longer? Yes. Costs more up front? Yes. But no debt, no control, no collapse. Canal Istanbul, $30 billion project. Funded by Turkey. Some international partnerships, yes. But Turkish control. Not an IMF loan. Not a World Bank project. Not a debt trap. Turkey learned from Ottoman history. Debt kills empires. So Turkey refuses debt, even if it means slower growth, even if it means economic pressure. Better to build slowly as a free nation than quickly as a debt colony. The lesson from 1875 to 1923, applied in 2024. But debt wasn't the only weapon. Let's talk about the capitulations. 1500s to 1923. 400 years. What were the capitulations? Treaties between the Ottoman Empire and European powers gave European merchants special privileges in Ottoman territory. The official story: Ottoman generosity, cosmopolitan tolerance, open trade. The reality was these were forced concessions. Ottoman Empire was pressured to accept them. What did Europeans get? Tax exemptions. European merchants operating in Ottoman Empire pay no taxes. Legal immunity. European merchants commit crimes in Ottoman territory. Ottoman courts can't prosecute them. Only European consuls can judge them. Freedom to trade. Import and export whatever they want. No Ottoman restrictions. What does this mean in practice? European merchants can undercut Ottoman businesses. They pay no taxes. Ottoman businesses do. Flood Ottoman markets with European goods. No import duties. Extract Ottoman resources cheaply. No export taxes. Ottoman government can't tax them, regulate them, prosecute them, control their own economy. The result? Systematic destruction of Ottoman industries. Example: Ottoman textile industry, 1500s to 1600s. Ottoman textiles famous across the world. High quality, competitive prices. European textiles can't compete. Solution? European merchants use capitulations. Import European textiles to Ottoman Empire tax-free. Sell below cost. Ottoman textile producers can't compete. European merchants don't need to profit in Ottoman markets. They profit in European markets. In Ottoman markets, dumping to destroy competition. Ottoman textile industry collapses. Factories close. Workers unemployed. Within decades, Ottoman Empire dependent on European textiles. Same thing happens with steel, weapons, machinery, chemicals, every industry. By the 1800s, Ottoman Empire is economically colonized, without being politically colonized, still has a sultan, still has territorial integrity, mostly. But economy controlled by Europeans, through treaties, through legal means. The capitulations continue until 1923. Treaty of Lausanne. Ataturk refuses to renew them. No more special privileges for foreigners in Turkey. Europeans furious, but can't force it. Turkey finally regains economic sovereignty after 400 years. But the damage is done. Ottoman industries destroyed. Turkish economy dependent. Takes decades to rebuild. Let's get specific. The Ottoman steel industry. Early 1800s. Ottoman Empire has domestic steel production, necessary for weapons, tools, construction, railways, not huge, but functional. Ottoman steel meets domestic needs, Europe industrializes. 1800s, Industrial Revolution, British steel production explodes, massive factories, advanced technology. They produce far more steel than Britain needs. Problem is overproduction. Solution, export. But European markets are protected. Tariffs, regulations. Where can Britain dump excess steel? Ottoman Empire. The capitulations give them the opening. British steel floods Ottoman markets. Tax-free, sold below production cost. This is called dumping. Export goods below cost to destroy foreign competition. Illegal in most markets today, but in Ottoman Empire, it was legal. Protected by capitulations. Ottoman steel producers can't compete. British steel is cheaper, even if lower quality. Ottoman producers can't lower prices, they're already operating on thin margins. Can't get government protection because capitulations prevent it. Can't access foreign markets because the European tariffs block them. Result: Ottoman steel industry collapses. Factories close. Workers lose jobs. Expertise lost. Once the Ottoman steel industry is destroyed, British steel prices rise. Now Ottomans pay market rates. But they're dependent. Can't rebuild the steel industry. They lost the expertise. They lost the infrastructure. They lost the capital and are dependent on British steel imports. For weapons, for railways, for everything. This happens with every Ottoman industry. Textiles, weapons manufacturing, machinery production, systematic deindustrialization, not through war, through economic warfare, through legal trade agreements, the capitulations. By 1900, Ottoman Empire industrially gutted and dependent on European imports for everything. But the most brazen sabotage? The Berlin-Baghdad Railway. Germany and the Ottoman Empire announce a partnership. The plan: build a railway from Berlin to Baghdad. Route: Berlin, Vienna, Istanbul, Konya, Adana, Aleppo, Mosul, Baghdad, Basra. Final destination: the Persian Gulf. Total length, 3,200 plus kilometers. The longest railway project in history at that time. Why does this matter? For the Ottoman Empire, access to the Persian Gulf, control of trade routes, connect the empire's territories. Anatolia to Mesopotamia, economic development across the heartland, transport troops quickly, military advantage, modernization, industrialization. For Germany, land route to Asia, bypass British-controlled sea routes, access to Mesopotamian oil. Germany needs oil for industry. Trade route Germany controls. Not dependent on British Navy. Challenge British maritime dominance. For both, economic independence from the British Empire. Strategic autonomy. This railway threatens everything Britain built. Britain's power is naval dominance. Control of the seas is control of trade. Suez Canal, British. Maritime routes to Asia, British-controlled. If Berlin-Baghdad succeeds, continental land route emerges. British naval advantage neutralized. Germany gets oil without British permission. Ottomans get development without British control. British Empire's strategic position undermined. Britain's response, panic. This railway cannot be allowed to succeed. The sabotage campaign. Step 1. Financial warfare. British banks refuse to finance the railway. Pressure French banks to refuse. They mostly comply. Ottoman Empire and Germany fund what they can, but nowhere near the billions needed. Construction slows. Not enough capital. Step 2. Diplomatic sabotage. Britain pressures countries along the proposed route. Neutral territories. Influence zones. Don't allow this railway through your territory. Don't grant transit rights. Diplomatic pressure. Economic threats. Some countries cave. Route planning becomes difficult. Step 3. Propaganda warfare. British media launches campaign. German imperialism threatening the Orient. Ottoman-German alliance against civilization. Railway is a military threat to British India. Public opinion in Europe turns against the project. Investors nervous. Funding harder to secure. Step 4. Actual warfare. World War I begins. Many causes. Complex situation. But one factor. British-German imperial rivalry. Berlin-Baghdad Railway is part of that rivalry. Britain cannot let Germany have land access to the Middle East, cannot let Ottomans modernize independently. A war is preferable to a successful railway. Ottoman Empire chooses Germany's side. Makes sense. They're partners on the railway. Britain invades Ottoman territories. Mesopotamia, Iraq, Palestine, Arabia. Objective to secure oil. Cut the railway route. Destroy Ottoman power. Ottoman Empire defeated. Treaty of Sèvres. Ottoman Empire partitioned. Railway construction stopped completely. Sections had been built. Fragments exist. But never connected. Never completed. The vision was dead. Ottoman Empire dissolved. Turkey emerges. The railway abandoned. What was lost? Think about what this railway would have meant. Ottoman industrialization, accelerated by decades. Connection between Anatolia and Mesopotamia. Economic development across the region. Oil access for Ottoman modernization. Strategic independence from European powers. All of it. Destroyed. Not because it was impossible. The engineering was sound. Sections were built successfully. It was destroyed because Britain couldn't allow Ottoman independence, couldn't allow German access to oil, couldn't allow a land route to bypass British naval power. So they stopped it, through financial pressure, through diplomatic sabotage, and ultimately through World War. Some historians argue Berlin-Baghdad Railway was a major factor in World War I. Not the only cause, but significant. Britain feared this railway more than almost anything. A successful Berlin-Baghdad railway changes the balance of power permanently. So Britain ensured it never happened, even if it meant World War. That's how threatening Ottoman infrastructure independence was. They started a war to stop it. Now think about Canal, Istanbul. Same playbook, different century. Ottoman railway, sabotaged through World War. Canal, Istanbul, sabotaged through economic warfare, media attacks, political pressure. But this time, Turkey is strong enough to build it anyway. No world war can stop it. Economic pressure can't stop it, because Turkey learned from the Berlin-Baghdad failure. This time, Turkish funded, Turkish controlled, Turkish built. No foreign dependencies they can cut. The lesson from 1903 to 1918 applied in 2024. Turkey wins independence. Ataturk rejects the capitulations, rejects the Ottoman debt. Turkey starts fresh. But Turkey is weak, just survived a war, needs international recognition, needs Western acceptance. Montreux Convention. Turkey negotiates control of the Turkish Straits, Bosphorus and Dardanelles. Turkey gets sovereignty over the straits. Good. But there's a condition. Turkey cannot charge tolls for commercial passage. Free passage for commercial ships. Guaranteed by international treaty. Why did Turkey accept this? 1936. Turkey had no leverage, had a weak military, weak economy, needed Western recognition, needed peace. Montreux was better than nothing. At least Turkey controls the straits militarily. But economically, constrained. 30,000 ships per year pass through the Bosphorus. Turkey charges nothing, but provides safety services, pilotage, Traffic management. Infrastructure maintenance. This costs Turkey hundreds of millions per year. The revenue from it, zero. Compared to Suez Canal, Egypt makes $8 to $9 billion per year. Panama Canal, Panama makes $2 to $3 billion per year. Bosphorus, Turkey makes nothing. This is insane, but Turkey accepted it. Because in 1936, no choice. Ataturk knew it was a bad deal, but survival first. Couldn't challenge it, not yet. The Montreux Trap, economic sovereignty limited for 90 years, until Canal Istanbul. Because Montreux applies to natural straits only, not to artificial canals. With Canal Istanbul, Turkey can charge tolls. Turkey sets the rules. Turkey controls passage. This is the workaround, 90 years in the making. Turkey escapes the capitulations, escapes the Ottoman debt, gets constrained by Montreux, but at least independent, sort of. Then, the Cold War. Turkey needs development, infrastructure, industry, military, needs capital. Where to get it? The West, 1950s to 1980s. IMF loans, World Bank loans. Turkey borrows for development, for stability. But the loans come with conditions, structural adjustment programs. What does that mean? Open your markets to foreign goods, privatize state industries, devalue your currency, cut government spending. Sound familiar? It's the same playbook as the Ottoman capitulations, different institutions, same effect. Turkey takes the loans, needs the money. Military coup. September 12, 1980. Official story. Military saved Turkey from chaos and communism. Economic reality. Immediately after the coup, Turgut Özal appointed as economic advisor, trained by the World Bank, implements radical free market reforms. Turkish markets open to foreign goods, state industries privatized, lira devalued, trade protections removed. This isn't organic reform. This is imposed restructuring, IMF dictated, World Bank designed. Many argue the coup was about economics. Turkey was moving toward economic independence in the 1970s. Import substitution, state industries. The West needed Turkey dependent. Coup brought in a compliant economic regime. The result, Turkish state industries destroyed. Can't compete with imports. Foreign goods flood the market. Turkish workers lose jobs, but foreign investors profit. Western banks profit. Turkey dependent again. 1990s to 2000s, economic crises. 1994 crisis, 1999 crisis, 2001 crisis, the worst economic collapse since 1929. Lira crashes, banks fail, businesses close. What was Turkey doing right before 2001? Building indigenous defense industry, fighter jets, tanks, naval vessels, independent military capability. 2001 crisis hits, projects canceled, no money. Defense industry, back to zero, dependent on foreign arms again, convenient timing, or coordinated economic warfare. IMF comes in with bailout. More loans, more conditions, more dependency. The pattern. Every time Turkey tries independence, economic crisis follows. IMF offers to help in exchange for control. Same as Ottoman debt. Different century. Same colonization. Erdogan comes to power in 2003. Different approach, 2003 to 2013. Economic growth. Reduces IMF dependence. In 2013, pays off IMF completely. For the first time in decades, Turkey is not under IMF control. Turkey starts building again. Infrastructure. Defense industry. Regional power. The response? Economic warfare continues. In 2013, Gezi Park protests. Officially, environmental protest. Reality, political destabilization attempt. The result, foreign capital flight. Turkish economy pressured. 2016, coup attempt. July 15, 2016. Military faction tries to overthrow Erdogan. Fails. Erdogan survives. Then purges the military. Consolidates power. Western response, condemnation. Erdogan is authoritarian. Not. Erdogan survived a coup. Economic pressure increases. In 2018, the lira crisis. August 2018. Turkish lira loses 40% of its value in weeks. Official story: Trump's sanctions over Pastor Brunson. Erdogan's bad economic policies. But let's look deeper. What was Turkey doing in 2017 to 2018? Buying S-400 from Russia, defying NATO, building TFX fighter, CON, indigenous 5th-gen fighter, expanding in Syria against US-backed Kurds, challenging Saudi Arabia and UAE in Middle East. In August 2018, lira suddenly collapses. Coordinated, massive short selling of lira. US sanctions announced. EU adds pressure. Capital flight. Media amplifies panic. Currency crashes. Result: Turkish defense industry projects delayed. Lira crash means can't afford imported materials and components. Turkey economically pressured. Erdogan forced to compromise on some issues. Not all, but some. Same playbook. 500 years running. Turkey asserts independence. Economic crisis follows. Berlin-Baghdad Railway, World War I. Defense industry, 2000s, 2001 crisis. S-400 and COM, 2018 lira crisis. The pattern never stops. So what has Turkey learned from 500 years of economic warfare? Lesson 1. Debt is control. Ottoman Empire collapsed from debt. European creditors became superpowers. USA now drowning in debt to China. Same pattern emerging. Turkey's response? 2013. Paid off IMF completely. Builds with its own money now. Canal Istanbul, $30 billion. Turkish funded. Slow? Yes. Expensive? Yes. But no debt, no control. Lesson 2. Infrastructure independence threatens empires. Berlin-Baghdad Railway sabotaged through World War. Why? Because it would have given Ottomans independence. Canal Istanbul is attacked through economic pressure. Why? Because it gives Turkey independence. They can't start World War again to stop it, but they can crash the lira. Wage media warfare. Apply political pressure. But Turkey is building it anyway. Lesson 3. Build your own production. Ottoman steel industry was destroyed by dumping. Ottomans became dependent. Turkey's response? Indigenous defense industry. TB2 Bayraktar drone, combat proven, exported to 30-plus countries. Akıncı drone, jet-powered, advanced. Khan fighter, 5th generation. First flight 2023. Naval vessels, frigates, corvettes, Turkish-built. From 100% weapon imports to 70% plus indigenous production. Can't be sanctioned if you make your own weapons. Can't be controlled if you don't depend on others. Lesson 4. Economic warfare never stops. The Spanish gold in 1500s and the capitulations 1500s to 1923. The debt trap from 1875 to 1923 and Berlin-Baghdad sabotage 1903 to 1918. Montreux constraints 1936 present and IMF traps 1950s to 2013. Then lira crises 2018, 2021. 500 years, same enemy, different tactics. Turkey's response? Accept it. Plan for it. Build despite it. Ataturk couldn't overcome it. Turkey was too weak 1923 to 1938. Every leader after Ataturk couldn't overcome it. Turkey was too dependent 1938 to 2003. Erdogan is overcoming it. Turkey is finally strong enough. Not fully independent yet. Still faces economic pressure. Still faces crises. But for the first time in 500 years, Turkey is building toward independence and actually achieving it. Canal Istanbul is breaking Montreux. Indigenous defense is breaking with NATO dependence. Paying off IMF is breaking debt colonization. Now Turkey is a stabilizing power in Syria, Libya, Azerbaijan. It's working. Slowly, painfully, expensively, but it's working. 500 years of economic warfare. Spanish gold flooding markets. Capitulations destroying industries. Debt colonization controlling finances. Suez Canal stolen through debt. Berlin-Baghdad railway sabotaged through war. Steel industry destroyed through dumping. Montreux limiting economic sovereignty. IMF traps maintaining dependence. Modern lira crises punishing independence. Every time Turkey gets strong, economic warfare follows. Every time Turkey builds infrastructure, sabotage follows. Every time Turkey asserts sovereignty, crisis follows. for 500 years. But with the grace of God, Turkey is still here, still standing, still building. And now, for the first time since the Ottoman Empire's peak, Turkey is actually winning. Canal Istanbul is being built, indigenous weapons are being produced, and stability is being projected throughout the region. Economic independence is being achieved. The siege continues. The attacks continue. But inshallah, Turkey is breaking free this time. Part 4 shows you the complete strategy, how Turkey turns isolation into power, how no allies becomes no obligations, how Turkey uses everything we've shown you to build true independence. Military, diplomatic, cultural, economic, the full picture. Part 4, Turkey has no allies, and that's its power.